Hey guys, it's Josh, the Mystic Money Man, and welcome to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to talk about why timeshares are still a thing in 2019. Now, I know what you're thinking if you're watching this. They shouldn't be a thing. They were great in the 1980s before you could book a hotel on the internet. There was no Airbnb, there was no VBRO, there was no kayak.com, Expedia, whatever. None of that stuff was a thing, and in order for people to have a good place to vacation, the only real way to do it was a timeshare. Well, that's true. They made a lot more sense in the 80s, but they still make sense today. I personally own a timeshare, and I don't regret it. I like it. I get value out of it, and I'm going to tell you why. So the first thing about having a timeshare that you need to realize is that whoever buys the original timeshare got ripped off. I bought my timeshare on the secondhand market for basically nothing. I went on eBay, I searched for a timeshare, I knew what I wanted. I spent $100 to transfer the ownership from Club Wyndham's previous owner to me. It was $100 just for the ownership transfer. Actually, the ownership transfer is $300. So the previous person actually paid $200 to get rid of their timeshare. That sounds really, really bad. Why would I want something that someone literally could not get rid of for free? Well, I did, and I got it. And now I have a timeshare. And let me explain to you why I like having it, I use it, and I get value out of it. The first thing is maintenance fees. Since I didn't have to pay anything for my initial purchase of the timeshare, I'm not counting the $100 because, yeah, it's basically nothing. In terms of hotel stays, if I got one free night out of it, it basically pays for the whole thing. But maintenance fees, I pay $45 a month every month in maintenance fees for my timeshare. Now, $45 a month times 12 is $540 per year. So I have to get some sort of value for $540 a year. And I really do. Because being part of my timeshare gets me access to RCI's Last Call. And Last Call basically is those super last minute hotel reservations that nobody really wanted, and therefore they're really, really cheap. So in addition to paying my $45 a month, I also pay when I use it. That's a horrible ripoff. Well, not really. And the reason it's not a horrible ripoff is the amount of money that I pay when I book a resort is so little, it's basically not there. For example, pretty recently I went to Vegas. I stayed at the Grand View Hotel, which is on the south side of the Strip. It's not like in the main part of the Strip. It's a little bit off the beaten path. It's right across the parking lot from the South Point Hotel Casino. So it's about a $5 Uber ride into town, maybe $7, depending on time of day. But I only paid $240 for a one-bedroom suite for 7 nights. That's insane. That's like $34 a night, all fees included. Now, since I only used my timeshare once for the entire year, I also had to pay my $540 of maintenance fees, which makes the actual cost per night close to $100. But for a one-bedroom suite in a Gold Crown rated resort, there's like 7 pools. I mean, this place was big. This place was nice. It was big. It had everything that I really wanted. And for that price, I thought it was a really great deal. And it wasn't just me traveling. Because if it's just me traveling, I'm not going to stay in a suite. I'm going to stay in a Motel 6 or something generic. Because if it's just me, I just don't care. I personally don't need a full kitchen. I don't need space. I'm probably not going to use the hotel pool. Wherever I'm traveling, if I'm traveling alone, I'm only staying in that hotel to sleep. And therefore, I want to get the cheapest, clean place that I possibly can. Even if it's a tiny bit off the beaten path, just as long as it's cheap and clean, that's what I want. But when I'm traveling with a family with more than one other person, I want space. And specifically for my wife and I, we want our own room so that we can have some privacy away from other people. And that's why whenever I go to Vegas with my family, we have family in Vegas, it's nice to have an actual suite where we can have people over. We have a full kitchen. There's a pool for there's a pool for me and kids to go swim in and be social. There's an outdoor barbecue pit. It's like a resort. There's amenities. It's not just a room to sleep in. And in order to get that whole space, if you're not part of something, it is incredibly expensive. So for me to be able to get it for even the $100 a night for only using it once a year, I think it's well worth it. The other thing that I get for my timeshare that I haven't talked about yet is points. Now, don't get all excited because these points are a little bit different from points from your credit card. You can't use them for airfare. You can't use them for cruises. You can't use them for cash back and statement credits. No, these are points from Wyndham that I transfer into RCI to use for RCI Weeks points. And I get 52,000 points every year. But the way that I have allocated to get my points is to get my points every other year. So every other year, I get a lump sum of points, 104,000. Boom. And then next year, no points. And the next year, 104,000. Now, you're like, why would you do that? Well, if you actually go and look at how many points it takes to book something on RCI for an entire week, it's a lot. A lot of resorts are 150 or 200,000 points. So in order to get my points as a big lump sum, it allows me to pool them more for a nicer stay in a better place. And the way that I do that is I borrow points from the previous year and I borrow points from the next year and I bank my points from the previous year to have a giant lump sum of points. For example, next month I'm taking a trip to Hawaii. I'm staying in the Hilton Grand in Wailoa Village. I have a nice one bedroom condo, basically, a suite, and there's plenty of amenities. It's in Hawaii, which means that you couldn't use it for those last call super deals because there's always demand for it. But I'm not paying anything for it except for the exchange fee to use my points. And I'm staying for 7 nights. It cost about 200,000 points, but that's what they're for. And if I look on Expedia right now, that same resort's about $280 a night for the week that I'm there. So just that in itself has saved me money. If I didn't use it for any of the last call stuff and I only used it once every 4 years just for one of these really nice getaways to a resort, it would completely pay for itself. But I also get the other value of the smaller intermediate trips that I book along the way. So because of that, I think it's got value. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, you have to book far in advance and I just Airbnb things when I want to stay there. And those are very, very valid points. I did have to book my Hawaii trip way in advance because there really wasn't availability for a bunch of months. So I booked this like before I even worked where I currently work. And when I switched jobs, I'd tell them, hey, I have this trip. I'm going to have to be gone for a week, blah, blah, blah. But it was worth it because I've got this amazing trip plan. It's going to be so fun. I'm going to be in Hawaii, which is paradise. And it's going to be way, way cheap. Now, for the Airbnb argument, yes, it's true. You can find units in Hawaii on Airbnb for far less than $280 a night. But on the other end of the spectrum, for the quality of the place that I'm staying at, for when I wanted to stay there, I looked at Airbnb and things were in the $300 a night range for the same style of amenity of place that I was staying, which is similar to hotel prices. And I mean, instead of staying in a hotel, I would be staying in someone's house. It would be a nice house in Hawaii, but it would still be the same price that I would be paying for my timeshare. And this way I have more amenities. I have someone on site to guide me and tell me cool things to do. And there's just a lot of fun stuff that I can do that I wouldn't have been able to do if I stayed in an Airbnb. Now, that's not to say Airbnb does not have its place. I have stayed in many Airbnbs, and I had really wonderful experiences, but they can be hit or miss. Sometimes you look at a place, it looks great, and you show up and it's crappy. And there's not like there's hotel management you can call. You can call the owner, and usually they care because Airbnb is a business and they want their small business to be successful. But there's only so much that they can really do. They can't like transfer you to another room if there's something wrong with the room that you're staying in, because it's their house and they only have one place. And if something happens, like the water heater breaks or something's wrong, well, you're just SOL. Whereas if I'm staying in this nice resort, they have tons and tons of units, they can always just move me. And there's a little bit less risk. And I really, really appreciate the less risk factor. So anyway, that's why I think that timeshares are still valid today. And if you have the right kind of timeshare, if you bought it in the used timeshare market, you can still have a really good deal and get a lot of really amazing travel adventure for better than the price that you would pay for staying in a hotel. Anyway, that's my show. Thank you for watching. Please like and remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next week.